Hello there, how are you getting on? It's Jay here and welcome to my review of WWE Extreme Rules 2018, the one night of the year where the WWE allegedly goes extreme. Now before we talk about anything to do with the show, there was some breaking news on Sunday night. I'm sure you all heard by now. Yes, the rumours are true. David Otunga has got a new pair of shoes. Good for you, David. Oh, and also Hulk Hogan has been reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, the main thing that this has brought about is conversation. Kind of people are very split on how the WWE, should have handled Hulk Hogan's case pretty much from the moment it first occurred. And I don't want to go too far into it. Honestly, my opinion on the whole thing was that if they decided to never bring him back, I'd understand and I'd be okay with that. And if they ever decided to forgive him and bring him back, I'd understand and be okay with that. And as for each person, whether they're a member of the locker room or they're just a fan, it's really up to yourself to decide, because he said some absolutely horrible things that were caught on tape illegally. The whole court case for that has been resolved, but he did say what he did say, and there's no ifs, ands or buts about that. But he has appeared to be remorseful and he's kind of trying to redeem himself. So whether he's earned your forgiveness or not, really that's entirely up to you. Now, with the news regarding Otunga's shoes out of the way, let's move on to the first match of the kickoff show. It is Cara going one-on-one with Andrade Cien Almas. Lad, where the hell have you been? I honestly forgot you even existed. First thing I noted right off the bat was Sin Cara's ring attire looks like it has paint spilt all over it. And he's wrestling in the PPG Paints arena. Get it? With this being a kickoff show match, it is of course lumped with a very short time frame to get any real character work or story build done, but in a positive turn, they still did the ads in the middle of the match, but this time they did split screen. So while the ad was going on, you could still see what was honestly nothing that was happening in the match. So that's good. Shut up, Roman. I'm trying to watch a match here. This match featured some great lucha libre work from both Sin Cara and Almas. For the most part, this match comes to a culmination with Sin Cara able to hit the frog splash on Almas, but Zelina Vega gets up on the ring apron, distracting the referee, allowing Almas to hit a drop kick, his double knees in the corner, and to finish off Sin Cara with the hammerlock DDT. This match ran almost exactly 8 minutes long, and while I would have liked to have seen more of a story built up between Almas and Sin Cara and Almas had tensions and a history, and then Sin Cara disappeared due to injury, and then he returned, and then we had this match. But really, given how absent Almas has been since his main roster debut and how little matches he's wrestled, coming into SmackDown next, I'd like to see it almost be like just a soft reboot for him. Just let him be like, I'm here now, let's get things rolling. Second match of the kickoff show is a 6-man tag tables match. That's a bit of a mouthful. Pinning Sanity against the New Day. Now, to win this match, you only have to put one member of the opposing team through a table to win. Has to be said, hate the way Sanity's entrance is done now. The camera swaying is nauseous. The amount of cuts, it's ridiculous. Whoever is directing the cameras for these entrances, just do me a favor and just go watch the opening of the film 28 weeks later. Or, you know what, better yet, just watch Sanity's entrance from back when they were at NXT. Absorb the message and then come back to me. I do like Sanity and I absolutely love Killian Dane, but they're going to need to do more with them to maximise their potential than what they've been doing since they made their debut. Like, they've had a mixed win-loss record since debuting, and they're here on the kickoff show. And I'm not saying they should be competing for the tag titles right about now, but really they should be doing something a little bit more. Working with the New Day is fine, but we need a proper build to a main card match to really get the ball rolling with these guys, because if they're hanging around too low on the card for too long, having mixed results in terms of their wins, losses, people are going to lose interest with them very quickly. So unfortunately, being on the pre-show it's going to be a short match, there's going to be an ad in the middle of the match, and it's a bloody tables match. And I don't want to say tables matches are inherently bad, but tables matches are kind of inherently bad. I'd be very hard pressed to think of a tables match that I really liked. Like, the only one that pops to mind is when Cody Rhodes faced the Big Show at Extreme Rules a few years back for the Intercontinental Championship in a tables match. And the only reason I liked that match was because the ending for it was absolutely hysterical. So the action inside and outside the ring was chaotic from the moment the bell rang. It's a 6-man tag, tornado rules, tables match, and Sanity are involved, so of course things are going to be chaotic. But it made it a bit hard to follow what was really going on at points because everyone was moving around so fast and trading who they were fighting with. It was kind of hard to keep on top of things, but there were some isolated spots you were able to see that were really cool. You had a really nice suicide dive by Killian Dane, a great triple team move by the New Day onto Eric Young and Alexander Wolfe. So this match culminates after numerous attempts of trying to set up a table where you have Wolfe and Kofi are on the ring apron, and Kofi's hanging on for dear life, and then from the way Wolfe's able to lean him back, it allows Young to do an elbow drop onto Kofi through the table. Young goes through the table first, I would like to point out, but, you know, I'm just being pedantic there. Sanity win. It was a cool, chaotic finish to the match, the way they set it up, but it just felt a little flat. I think the impact on the table wasn't as dramatic as you would have liked it to have been, but still a fun match. I suppose we could keep Sanity and the New Day feuding, but they just need a proper 6-man tag team match on the main card of a pay-per-view with no, you know, gimmicks that could possibly hinder the match itself. This is the first show I reviewed where we had more than one match on the kickoff show, but now it's time for the main card, and the first match is for the Raw Tag Team Championships as the champions, the Deleters of Worlds, Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, defend their titles against the B Team, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Have to say, really like the contrast of light and darkness for the entrance of the Deleters of Worlds. It works really well with their gimmick. I also do really like the B Team, but in the sense that I really like Bo Dallas and I really like Curtis Axel, and I'm glad that they're finally, after all their time with the company, getting something to do. And I know it would have made no sense if all of a sudden they went out on their own as a tag team and suddenly became dominant, but at the same time, I'm not a huge fan on all their opponents slipping on banana peels and them literally fluking their way to victory every time. Like, you could have had like a couple of matches against some jobbers where they could have beaten people up or something before moving on to trying to take on people from the main roster. I was just as pumped as the crowd in live attendance to finally see a pay-per-view confrontation between Bray Wyatt and his brother Bo Dallas, and it was quite smart of them to tease this confrontation only for Bo to immediately tag out to kind of save that standoff for another time. But as the match starts, the B Team look completely overwhelmed. They just seem totally out of their depth, but Bo Dallas is able to get a cheap shot in on Matt Hardy, and that's how they gain control. And it's pretty much the bulk of the story of the match is just Matt trying to tag Bray back in, and Matt is able to get a side effect in, create some separation, tags Bray in, and I was a little bit disappointed because Bray just goes in and dominates Axel and just steamrolls over Bo, and it's like, hang on, we were teasing this confrontation and now Wyatt's just laying him out. Looks like Bray's about to win the match single-handedly, but the Deleters of Worlds go for their finishing combination, the Sister Abigail into the Twist of Fate, but Curtis Axel's able to cause a distraction, which allows Bo Dallas to hit a rope assist and neckbreaker on Matt Hardy to win the match, which was very shocking. Like, everyone assumed that the kind of the B Team's luck was going to run out with this match. The Deleters of World were just going to steamroll over them. It was all going to be a fluke, and they move on to SummerSlam to probably face the Authors of Pain or something like that. But no, the B Team have won the Raw Tag Team Championships. I'm very happy for them, and this is good. I actually would like a SummerSlam matchup between the B Team and the Deleters of Worlds, and give us a proper, like, even like just 3 to 5 minutes of Bray fighting his brother Bo. I guarantee you the crowd will go nuts for it. But still, very happy for the B Team, and hilarious post-match interview with them as when Curtis Axel is asked how does it feel to win the Raw Tag Team Championships, he responds with, how did Stretch Armstrong feel when he landed on the moon? He then also proceeds to do the worst rendition of the floss dance which I've ever seen in my life. but still, kudos to the boys of the B team. Looking forward to see where we go from next. You know, a pretty pedestrian match overall, but I think the shock surprise of the B team winning really did add a level of excitement. So, good start to the pay-per-view. Before we can get into the second match, we have a backstage interview with Kurt Angle, and he offers an ultimatum to the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. He gives him 3 options. Either 1, show up personally on Raw tomorrow. Secondly, come to terms with what his next title defense will be, or thirdly, Kurt will be forced to strip him of the title. And I love this because it has no real bearing on the pay-per-view itself, but it is a very smart way to get you excited for Raw and to tune in the next night. We then move on to the second match of the main card as Finn Balor takes on Constable Baron Corbin. It is so great to see Finn Balor in a one-on-one match on a pay-per-view. I'd prefer if it was for the Universal Championship, but at this point this is a major step up. There's only so much having great performances in singles matches on Raw and in multi-man matches and pay-per-views can do for you. So this is really good. Also, really enjoying the Constable Baron Corbin gimmick. He just looks so much more comfortable in his skin now, and he oozes confidence, and the character has a second layer to him, being a stand-in for Stephanie McMahon. So Corbin's kind of getting the rub by being Stephanie's proxy, but on top of that, this also helps out Finn, because not only is he having a match with Baron Corbin, but he's also indirectly fighting against Stephanie McMahon. This wasn't a long match, and Corbin dominated for the most part of it, using his size and striking ability to wear down Finn Balor. Finn Balor was pretty much going for the kill shot any chance he get. Multiple attempts of the coup de grace, but Baron was always able to cut him off. A really nice catch on the top rope, dragging Finn off onto the ring and then hitting him with his chokeslam backbreaker, which for the WWE is such a unique move, and I'd really like to see Corbin winning matches with this move. Definitely still keep his end of days because it's a strong, really well protected finisher, but if he could start winning with that chokeslam backbreaker, that would just add more to his character overall. At Finn's, I believe, 3rd attempt on the coup de grace, Baron tries to put him away with the end of days, but Finn's able to catch him in an inside cradle and roll him up for the win at about 8 minutes. Now, it was, again, a pretty standard match, but, you know, it did exactly what it set out to do. Baron looked good by being dominant for the most part in the match, and then Finn looked like the wily veteran that he is, being able to catch Corbin off guard just for 3 seconds to get the win. Does this mean that the two of them are going to keep feuding going forward? I don't know, and I don't know if I'd want to see that, but we'll just, you know, we'll see how things go. You know, this was a good match for both these guys, so let's stay optimistic for now. And before we can get to the third match, we once again cut backstage, where it turns out that the Bludgeon Brothers have assaulted Team Hell No. They take out Kane by putting his foot in the door and whacking it with a mallet. Gotta love wrestling. But this is actually something that's been really missing from pay-per-views, in my opinion. Like, they'll just do all the setup on Raw, and I suppose, you know, the pay-per-view's supposed to be this big blow-off, but to have a development like this early on in the show raises questions. Is Daniel Bryan going to have to fight against the Bludgeon Brothers alone? Is Kane going to be able to make it to the match? Will Daniel Bryan have to find a new partner? So I'll give him props for that, because I was already excited for Team Hell No to have a championship opportunity later on in the night, but this little extra wrinkle in the story was really good. I like it. They need to do more stuff like this during their pay-per-views. Third match of the night is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, as Carmela defends her title against Asuka, while James Ellsworth is suspended above the ring inside a shark cage. I hated the build to this match. You wouldn't even know who Asuka was feuding with, whether it was James Ellsworth or Carmela. In my Money in the Bank pay-per-view review, I mentioned that it's good to have Ellsworth back because he adds an extra wrinkle to Carmela's gimmick, and I was wrong. I was so wrong. Like, they need to just get James Ellsworth and just keep him as a manager who can interfere on Carmela's behalf in matches, or just send him away. Don't have him as a complete stand-in, and for the love of God, stop having him wrestle women. So this match was just the worst. You knew Ellsworth was going to be able to circumvent the cage and interfere in some shape or form, which he does, like 30 seconds into the match. He drops a chain down for Carmela to use against Asuka. Asuka stops her, Asuka beats up Carmela. And then Ellsworth picks the lock of the cage. And then Ellsworth falls and his foot is stuck. You can see the rope and you can see his harness. And then Asuka starts kicking him. And then Carmela pushes Asuka into the corner of the shark cage. So Carmela wins. And then Carmela runs off, leaving Ellsworth hanging from the cage. And then Asuka beats up Ellsworth. This was just, oh my god. Oh my god, I can't believe what they've done to Asuka. They are ruining her. I tried to stay so optimistic. Like, after Baron Corbin lost his Money in the Bank briefcase, I was still trying to remain optimistic. And then when Cena made him a joke as like a pay-per-view the next, I think it was SummerSlam, I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to, like, this is a bad turn for Asuka. This match was horrible. This is, since I've started doing the reviews, this is the worst match. It's so bad. And you know what? Asuka assaulted officials during the match. So, is she going to get a 30-day suspension like Ronda Rousey? Will there be I don't care. Let's just talk about the next match. With the rancid taste of the previous match still fresh in my mouth, we now move on to the fourth match on the card, and it is for the United States Championship, as Jeff Hardy defends his title against Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, of course, these days, whenever Shinsuke Nakamura is in a match, there is one question you have racing through your mind. Will he punch his opponent in the bollocks over the course of the match? And the answer is no. Shinsuke Nakamura does not punch Jeff Hardy in the bollocks during the match. He punches Jeff in the bollocks just before the match starts, and the referee has his back turned. He's just about to ring the bell, and wham! Down goes Jeff. Jeff, being the stalwart babyface that he is, makes his way back to his feet and says to the referee, I still want to do the match. The referee rings the bell, and Kinshasa, 1, 2, 3, Shinsuke Nakamura has defeated Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship in about 5 seconds. So, this is great for Shinsuke. It complements his character so well, and it was such a pleasant surprise. Like, it was the second surprise in this one show between this and the B Team winning the Raw Tag Team Championships. You see, Shinsuke needed to come up with something either really dominant or, in this case, really clever to bounce back, because it wasn't a good look for him to have so many attempts at the WWE Championship and AJ Styles and to always come up short. So this is great. But Shinsuke doesn't have long to celebrate, because Randy Orton is back from injury and he looks vaguely intrigued to be making his return. Randy and Shinsuke have a stare down, but then Orton turns to Jeff Hardy and hits him with it. Say it with me now. A swift kick in the bollocks from out of nowhere. Yes, Randy Orton has turned heel again, and I love it. I love Randy Orton heel so much more than I like Randy Orton as a face. Like, I do like Randy as a face, but he's always been so much better as a heel, and he's back, and this is good because, you know, it raises so many questions now. Where is Randy stand now? Is he just back on his own as a heel? Is he going to start teaming with Shinsuke Nakamura? This is one of those things where you get a title change, works well for Shinsuke's character, doesn't damage Jeff too bad because he's such a legend at this point. You'd have to work a lot harder than that to kind of kill any love or respect that the fans have for him. Orton's back, turned heel, and you want to know what's going to happen next. So subsequently, you're going to want to watch SmackDown. So between Kurt Angle's announcement and this, some kind of good forward thinking while still getting, you know, entertaining moments in the pay-per-view. That's good. I'm feeling optimistic as we go into the fifth match of the card. It is a steel cage match pitting Braun Strowman against Kevin Owens. Now, this feud in the last couple of months have been fantastic for Braun. He looks like the biggest, meanest, toughest individual in the entire WWE, whereas those same months have not been as kind to Kevin Owens. Huge Kevin Owens fan, and I hate to see him kind of portrayed in the cowardly fashion that he is. He's doing a great job. He's making Braun look amazing, but I think anyone who's a fan of Kevin Owens can agree we'd want to see a bit more. I know with the way the main event scene is now, it might be a bit naive to be like, oh yeah, just have him beat Roman and Brock and be Universal Champion again, but not to be such a cowardly heel. So, as you'd expect, this match starts with Kevin Owens trying to run away from Braun and Braun repeatedly catching him, and you're just waiting for Braun to kill him, but Braun doesn't, you know, he likes to toy with his food, but I guess when it comes time to a steel cage match, or when he's in the ring, he wants an actual fight, and he goads Kevin Owens into actually fighting him and to stop running away. Kevin Owens does fight Braun and actually has a small amount of success for a short period of time, and then Braun proceeds to murder him by throwing him repeatedly against the cage while the crowd chants one more time, one more time. They're sick. They're absolutely sick. That man has a family. What is wrong with you? Owens is able to hit a stone cold stunner from out of nowhere. I popped huge from that, and I loved the audible reaction from the crowd, because some of them lost their minds, but then the rest of them were just like, hey, did he just do what I think he did? But unfortunately, the stunner is not enough to put Braun away, which I'm sure infuriated Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you're going to be hitting his Stone Cold Stunner on people, you need to be winning the match with it. Otherwise, Austin's going to be coming for you. Now, after this, Owens is able to get an advantage over Braun again by handcuffing him to the top rope in the corner by the door. And this gives Owens a great advantage, and he has a small amount of success for a short period of time. After the one-handed choke slam by Braun Strowman, Owens decides he's had enough with Braun, tells him to suck it, blows him a kiss goodbye, and attempts to climb out of the cage, but Braun is able to break the handcuffs and chase after Owens. The two of them find themselves on top of the cage, and Braun choke slams Kevin Owens off the cage through the announce table on the outside, which means his name's Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' feet hit the floor first. So I think Kevin Owens is the Universal Champion now. No, he's the uncrowned Universal Champion. His feet hit the floor first. That joke wasn't going to land ever, was it? No. Kevin Owens won the match. Braun threw the match. That joke was a little better. The match itself was actually boring for the most part, because it was so outside of the finish, it was so predictable and you just knew where it was going at every point. But that finish was awesome, and this is the second pay-per-view in a row where Owens is putting his body on the line in these very dangerous spots. So he, years from now, he could wind up being like one of these Mick Foley types if he keeps going this way, where it's just like, dude, you fell off everything and you did all these hardcore spots, and I really don't want to see Owens getting hurt. But he's doing fine right now, at least in terms of surviving these spots. So he'll continue to have my respect and admiration. But you know what? At SummerSlam, don't do anything like that, Kevin, please. I really don't want to see you get hurt, and hopefully Braun and Kevin can move away from each other in terms of the storyline. Braun has that Money in the Bank briefcase, and you know what? For a character like Braun, every second that passes where Braun's not just trying to cash in is completely goes against every kind of bit of character work they've done with him. So they need to get cracking on that. And Owens just needs to move on to something different. I don't know if this was to write him off TV. Maybe he's injured, because that was a pretty big spot and they played it up as really serious. Maybe he's getting drafted to SmackDown. All I want for Owens is just for them, put him in feuds where he can look good, please. Sixth match on the card is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, as the Bludgeon Brothers, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, defend their tag team titles against Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan, and maybe Kane. Daniel Bryan comes out first all by himself, and the Bludgeon Brothers come out second, and there's no sign of Kane yet. And this match starts with some classic Daniel Bryan work, because, he's hurt from the attack earlier, he has no partner, so it's a 2-on-1 match, all things considered, and it's him with his back against the wall, against the odds, fighting and finding ways to overcome. But this match suffered horrendously from pacing issues, because you're waiting for Kane to come back or for someone to come out to help Daniel Bryan, and we're barely 5 minutes in and they're only just starting to tell this unique kind of handicap match story between the three, and Kane returns his legs in this kind of weird cast thing. Kane's able to tag in, hit a couple of choke slams, nice, goes for the tombstone, but his leg gives out. Daniel Bryan tags in, still relatively fresh, which he shouldn't be. This is a case of them rushing the story too much. But Eric Rowan, is able to get a blind tag in, and then that allows the two of them to hit their kind of clothesline powerbomb combo, double team maneuver to pin Daniel Bryan and win the match in about 8 minutes. There was a really cool story to be told here with this match, but it went by in a flash. Nothing had time to kind of settle or grow, and you really could have, honestly, I think the match should have been twice as long as it was. I think we should have had 10 minutes of Daniel Bryan on his own, fighting, scratching and clawing, but slowly succumbing to the onslaught of the Bludgeon Brothers, and then Kane can come out and they can build up that hope again to then dash it. So, very deflating end to the match and a poor payoff to an intriguing build from earlier on. I've read rumours that Kane actually is injured and does have a leg injury. It'd be such a shame, because I'd love to see Team Hell No win the Tag Team Championships one more time. Obviously I want to see Daniel Bryan in the main event, fighting against The Miz with the WWE Championship involved, but now that they've pulled the trigger on a Team Hell No reunion, I'd like them to see that through. I never realised how badly I wanted a reunion until they actually did it, and it's such a testament to the tag team that I would say one of the highlights of the whole show was a bloody montage of two grown men hugging that played before the actual match itself. So yeah, disappointing. Move on to the next match. We're on to the 7th match of the card, and I'm seeing double 4 Romans. Just kidding, it's only Bobby Lashley taking on Roman Reigns. Now, in my last review, I asked the WWE to do better with Bobby, and to their credit, they have delivered with that. I've really enjoyed the build to this match with Brock Lesnar as an absentee champion. There is a spot at the top of the card for the position of the guy on Monday Night Raw. And Roman Reigns has been trying to fill that spot, and Bobby Lashley has now returned and he wants to fill that spot. Both men's motivations are clear, and they had some really good talking points in the build up to the match as well. You had Roman making the point that Bobby tried to take that position in the past during his initial run and he couldn't hack it and he quit. Whereas Bobby's pointing out that you've had so many attempts against Brock and you've lost, you've failed them all. It's time for you to move on and to let someone else step up. So with all these things considered, I was really looking forward to this match. Now, if you liked this match bell to bell, there's nothing wrong with that, and I won't argue with it, because there is nothing wrong with the match, but I don't even know what I wanted from this match from the moment the bell rung, but whatever it is I wanted, it wasn't what they gave, and I was so bored for the first 10 minutes of this match. It was just the kind of the classic two big sweaty Vince McMahon archetypes punching, and there was too much wrestling at the start of the match for you to go, oh, this is a heated grudge match where they're beating each other up, but then they were also at points beating each other up too much to go, oh, this is a technical wrestling match. So I didn't know what they were doing. I'll try to find some things to talk about for the first 10 minutes of this match. Did you notice the colour difference in Roman Reigns' arms? His right arm looks like a normal, healthy, natural tan, and his left arm looks like a giant hot dog. Now I know he has the sleeve tattoos on the right arm, but still, that's so distracting. Let's see, do we have anything else? Roman, what are you doing? This is not an Extreme Rules match. You're going to get disqualified. Stop it. That was pretty much the only two things I took away from the first 10 minutes of this match. But then, for the last 5, it kicked it into high gear. Roman tries to kill Bobby by just lamping him over the top rope in one of the scariest, sickest bumps. I gasped more for that bump than I did the Kevin Owens one earlier, because with the Kevin Owens one, there was a crash pad on that table. There was the table and the crash pad to cushion Kevin's fall. With Bobby, it was just a straight bump out onto the floor. Bobby, you don't have to do that. Now, it immediately perked my interest. It perked everyone's interests. You could even see the atmosphere towards the whole match changed after that spot. But Bobby, you don't have to go through that length. But As I said earlier, I didn't know what I wanted from this match from the bell rung, but after that spot, I realised, yeah, this is what I wanted. It was a bit faster, you had a lot more power moves to it. You had, Bobby was able to do a belly-to-belly suplex on Roman onto the announce table. And if you note, the table in the middle, the one Owens went through, has been reassembled, and I don't know how they reassemble the table, probably with tools, but I just remember thinking to myself, how hilarious would it be if after the match with Strowman and Owens was over, if they just got an air pump, reinflated the crash pad, and the table just came up back into like its perfectly natural position. I know totally distracted from the match here, but like that was an honest to God thought that I had in my head. Anyway, the action was fast, it was intense, it was exciting, and in the closing moments you have Roman Reigns hits a Superman punch onto Bobby on the top rope, which causes him to fall down into the ring. Roman Reigns attempts a spear, but what he doesn't realise is that Bobby Lashley was Roman Reignsing a lot earlier than Roman Reigns was before he ever Roman Reignsed in the first place. That was a fucking mess. What I'm trying to say is Bobby spears Reigns before Reigns can spears Bobby, as the spear was Bobby's finisher before Reigns, and Bobby had Reigns' push before Reigns even started to learn how to wrestle. So Bobby wins. Great, interesting development. And I know I normally like to talk about the pay-per-views isolated, and because of my filming schedule, I do know the results of Raw, and the two of them are just going to have another match to decide who faces against Brock. I hope Bobby wins. We'll see. Anyway, as for this match, I found it really boring at the start, but it got really exciting towards the end. I'm not saying from the moment the bell rung, Reigns should have tried to murder Bobby in front of thousands of people, or that Bobby should have had to repeatedly take those very dangerous bumps. But, you know, that kind of intensity should have had been what it was from the start of the match, and they shouldn't have tried so much chain wrestling at the start. Just go in and just, you know, beat the crap out of each other. Kind of like how you did, but, you know, not as boring. Wow, that's like terrible critique and advice. I actually am looking forward to their upcoming match on Raw to decide who faces Brock for the Universal Championship. Anyway, enough about that. On to the next match. The next match is Alexa Bliss defending her Raw Women's Championship against Nia Jax. I am here talking about Alexa Bliss facing Nia Jax with the Raw Women's Championship on the line. Again, Nia is the face. Again. Somehow. Okay. Yeah, just so bored of, I don't know how long I've been saying, can we not just move on from this, please? And I know it's a distraction. I know this is like a filler arc as they're building up for Ronda's championship match against Alexa, and Alexa's a much better foil for Ronda on a character and a psychological level compared to Nia and her just being physically a lot bigger than her. But this match wasn't good. You had Natalya and Mickie James at ringside. I think the only thing anyone looked at this match and thought, ooh, that was good, was you had a military press from Nia and Alexa onto a trash can. All of the weapons, all of the shots with the trash can lids and kendo sticks, it was all trash. Outside of that, it was horrible. And you had, of course, Ronda has been at ring, still serving her suspension, but bought tickets to allow her to be at the barricade at ringside. And once Natalya finds herself in danger, Ronda hops the barricade and just storms after Mickie James. And see, this is what I really like about this, is that nobody has a better "I'm going to murder you" run than Ronda. Like, she sprints at them full force, she gets the arms swinging at full tilt, and like the look on her face, it's great. Through all this chaos, which I had neither the intention or ability to be able to keep up with, ends with Alexa hitting a DDT onto Nia, onto a chair to win. I don't know how long the match was. It definitely was shorter than 10 minutes. Might have been even as little as 7 minutes, but it wasn't good. Ronda looked epic, as she always does, and that was like the shot in the arm that this whole segment needed. Given the fact that you had Ronda at ringside, Alexa with Mickie in her corner, and Nia with Natalya in her corner, you have 6 people involved in what's supposed to be a one-on-one match anyway. Add in Extreme Rules the stipulation onto it, which, God, the bloody pay-per-view's namesake went to that match. You would have, I guessed, obviously it was going to become an absolute cluster, and an absolute mess. But I think even with it being 7 minutes long, you could have planned it a bit better than the way you did. It was just you spend the whole time going, Jesus, what's going on? Like, it's either just Nia and Alexa, and you're like, Christ, not this again, or then you have Natalya and Mickey getting involved, and there's too many moving parts for you to be, wait, hang on, what's going on? Who's doing this? Oh, now Ronda's here. Ronda's going to murder someone. Nia Jax needs to get away from the championship scene. And you know what, I had such high hopes for her when she won the championship. I just think the story they're going with Ronda doesn't have room for Nia in it anymore. So, keep her on Raw, keep her on TV, let her go on to other stories, and, we can revisit Nia in the championship scene again. But right now, the money is on Ronda, both literally and figuratively, chasing Alexa for the title. Almost there now with the second last match of the card. It is AJ Styles putting his WWE Championship on the line against Rusev. Rusev is in a WWE Championship match. Finally, Rusev is in the main event scene. Finally. This match was, I think everyone knew, AJ was going to win this match. Going into it, there was no doubt in my mind anyway that AJ was going to retain this. The story had so little time to develop, and Rusev has only just stepped into the main event scene for the first time. And all I wanted from this match was just for Rusev to show what we all know, and that it's just he bloody belongs in the main event scene. And I'll say, from this match, I would totally agree with that. Now, it's not because this was an amazing match or that there was any one thing in particular that made this match phenomenal or above a good standard match, but it was a good WWE Championship match. I liked the pacing of it. But it was only a 15-minute match, so if that was stretched out to maybe 22, 23 minutes, so they could have paced it the way they did and then let it pick up steam more towards the end, it could have been truly epic. But for 15 minutes, it was paced well, and it was really good. They were both smart wrestling from AJ and Rusev. Of course, Rusev's finisher is the Accolade, and there's no messing about. As Rusev said earlier on, this is a different Rusev. This is a Rusev going for the WWE Championship. So there's no Rusev Day jokes, no mucking about. He is just wearing down AJ's back and his core to set him up for the Accolade. But at the same time, AJ is wearing down Rusev's leg because Rusev has there'd be such a wide discrepancy in strength between the two, and also AJ has his calf crusher submission maneuver. So you had lots of clever sequences of them trying to outmaneuver each other's the signature submissions, and this all culminates with Rusev's able to get a Machka kick after a belly-to-belly on the outside on AJ off a distraction from Aiden, which AJ kicks out of. And it was one of those cases where the kick out was at such the last nano split second that for a moment you might have actually thought, oh God, is Rusev going to win? Brilliant stuff. But AJ's work on Rusev's leg pays dividends, as Rusev is just unable to put the Accolade on AJ properly. But as he has AJ in this kind of half Accolade, accolade, if you will, you have Aiden English in the background removes the turnbuckle pad off the top turnbuckle, and you have once AJ gets to the ropes and Rusev goes to reapply the Accolade properly, AJ slides out from underneath his feet. I had to laugh. He gets up and he's supposed to run to the turnbuckle with the exposed turnbuckle on it, but he runs to the wrong one, so he has to adjust his trajectory mid-run to get to the right one, and Rusev bashes face first into that exposed steel. AJ's able to follow it up with a 450 splash, and what I really like here is Rusev kicked out. That could have been a perfectly well written finish to the match, but Rusev kicked out, which made him look so tough. And Rusev then just slowly makes his way to his feet, and AJ hits the phenomenal forearm and then is able to put Rusev down. So the moment Rusev's face went into the steel, he was done and he lost, but AJ still had to go a bit above and beyond to win the match. So this is really good. I hope Rusev doesn't get shunted back down the card. Because again, not an amazing match, but it was a solid, good WWE Championship match, and it showed Rusev does belong in the title hunt. So hopefully he'll stick around, and hopefully there'll be more championship matches for him in the future, because this was his first attempt, but he could make a fantastic WWE champion at some point in the future. And finally, we've made it to our main event. It is a match for the Intercontinental Championship. That's right, the IC title is the main event. Dolph Ziggler defends his championship against Seth Rollins in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Two things to take away from this match. Right, here we go with the first one. First one was that the match had a 30-minute time limit, and for both the audience at home and the audience in attendance, there was a clock. The second the bell started at 30 minutes, and the second the bell rung, it started counting down. And for some unknown reason, the crowd decided to do a Royal Rumble countdown every time we got to the last 10 seconds of a minute. So they go 10, 9, 8, all the way down. And when we got to 0, the start of the next minute, they'd all make a buzzer noise like "Eeeh." And they did this for almost every minute. Like, of all 30 of the minutes, they did this for most of them. And the second point is about some of the questionable writing of this match, but for me, that just ruined the whole match for me. It totally killed it, and it was so disrespectful. And the obvious counter that's going to be made is, if people paid money to see this match, you know, if you paid money, you should be able to express yourself and do what you want. And you know what, on one hand, you know what, I do see the point people make with it. And the only counter I have to that is, you know what, yeah, if you go to a wrestling show and you pay money, you should be able to chant and sing and clap, because the audience is just as big a part of the show as the people inside the ring. But there has to be some etiquette, guys. Like, there has to be, because that was like Chinese water torture for me. By the time we had like 5 minutes left, and I heard the 10, 9, I was nearly slapping myself, because I had to like inflict pain on myself to stop it. I don't know where, and I don't know where it came from, and I don't think it was out of boredom. Like, it was this was a mixed show overall. You know, like, it varied from mediocre with some nice surprises to just flat out awful. But I don't think this chant was in response to it. I think someone saw the 10 countdown and thought, oh, like, just like the Royal Rumble, we'll do that. That's funny. He did it. People joined in, and then they just did it for every minute. And I'm not going to go onto this big hole what you should be able to and shouldn't be able to do as a paying customer attending a live show. But what I will do is defer you to Chris Jericho. I'm not arsed to find it myself, but if you go on and like search this wonderful YouTube here, you'll be able to find a kind of a 15-minute rant by Jericho on his podcast, which took place shortly after a Hall of Fame ceremony where the crowd were being disrespectful. And I won't say I agree with 100% of what Jericho said, but a lot of what he said is true. And the chanting killed the match. It really did. It really did. I can't believe it. We complain so much about getting Roman Reigns in the main event, and then we get Dolph Ziggler facing Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship in a 30-minute Iron Man match for the main event, and that's how we carry on. Roman's going to be in the main event next month, and you know what? I'm going to be delighted to see him there. I really am. I will take booze non-stop through a match than that sort of torture. Again, if you pay your money to get a ticket to go to a show, absolutely, you know, cheer the people you like, boo the people you don't like. But when you do something that's going to end up just ruining the show, because obviously the crowd had no interest in watching that match, but I did, and I paid money for the show. What about me? Come on, guys, what about everyone who really wanted to see this show, you know, or to see that match? Like, it's, you know, it's a video unto itself. It is a video unto itself, and I know some people have tackled the topic in the past to make some sort of a defense for the fact that the wrestlers are going out and risking life and limb to entertain you, and you want to chant like an asshole, and apparently we can't talk about that because people will just hate on you for it. So that's okay. I'll just defer you to Chris Jericho's podcast, and yeah, and I'll just forget about this. Wow, I can't believe it though. Really can't believe it. Okay, on to the second point about the actual match itself. The big gripe I did have with this match was that there were too many falls in the match. It was a 30-minute Iron Man match, and it ended with a draw, 4 falls each. It's way too many for a 30-minute time limit. But if you look at the story they were telling, it would have been excellent if it was a 60-minute Iron Man match. So like the match that Dolph, Drew and Seth Rollins put together was really good with some cool spots. I liked Drew's interference. I like how in the early goings of the match, Seth was like clearly just out wrestling Dolph and able to get 2 wins in a very short space of time. I like how after the attack by Drew, then Dolph is able to like just really dirtily just take advantage and then to score it even and then cheat to get an advantage. And you know, like there was a lot to the story of this match that really is to be commended, and the performance was really good, but it needed more time. Like 8 falls in 30 minutes is absolutely ridiculous. Like that's on average a fall every like 3 minutes or so. You have matches on Raw that can last 20-30 minutes now, and they're scoring a fall. They're scoring like 2-3 falls over the space of 5 minutes. Like it just you know, again, stretch that out over an hour, it would have been great. And that's unfortunately with what we end the show on. So if you like this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. You can comment in the comment section below. Although to be honest, I'm not going to talk about you know, what people can and can't do as paid customers. Yeah, because I've seen people on Twitter and on forum boards talking about this, and it's just an ugly discussion. But I will let you know that my opinion on it was I was kind of disgusted with the way the Pittsburgh crowd reacted. So yeah, that's it for this video. Oh, where do I rank this pay-per-view? I'm going to rank it as the second worst pay-per-view I've reviewed. Obviously, Backlash is the worst. After I finished watching Extreme Rules, I was so angry I wanted to just slap this at the bottom of the list just to spite it. But you know what? I don't think it was as bad as Backlash. I may have to readjust the list in the future, because I did have this internal dialogue with myself where I said, you know what, 6 months from now, what are you going to think about Backlash? I'm going to say, well, that was an awful pay-per-view, but The Miz versus Seth Rollins was an amazing match. What am I going to think 6 months from now about Extreme Rules? I don't know. If I've nothing positive to say, I may in the future actually have to put Extreme Rules at the bottom. But for now, second worst. And Backlash is at the bottom. WrestleMania still remains at the top. Money in the Bank second. Greatest Royal Rumble third. Those are the 5 shows I've reviewed so far. SummerSlam is next. Please be good, SummerSlam. Please be good. See you all in the next video, guys. Cheers. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.